as a veteran of America. How do you feel now that you've seen these messages in the group chat? And how do you feel about the administration's explanation of it today?
Outraged, disgusted, concerned. And I think that's the response from just about anyone who served in the military from any political background, except for maybe some people in the administration. Generations of Americans who've served in the military know loose lips sink ships. We're taught it in basic training. Everyone understands you have an obligation to ensure you don't disclose anything that could harm your fellow troops. And that's the most important part here. Whether it's an attack plan or war.
All right. So is that the I don't know who this guy is, but how was he on the Afghan withdrawal? Maybe he was great. Maybe he was fantastic. Maybe he said all the right things on that. But yeah, so we got to talk about it a little bit just because it's everyone's talking about it. The Signal messaging app, right? This guy was on it. He was put on there by mistake, and there was they were discussing the attack on the Houthis, and the attack went off without a hitch. So, all right, yeah, it's definitely a mistake, definitely bad. But they're going to run with this until they have something else to run with. Everyone knows that. Everyone understands it. It's a bit odd that this happened and then the reporter dropped it just before a congressional hearing that was supposed to happen. That there's a lot of conspiracies flying around as to why this occurred. Most likely it was just a mistake and maybe a coincidence on the timing. I highly doubt that, but everyone with this faux insane outrage. Don't get me wrong. If the roles were reversed, 100%, the people on the right would definitely be hammering the people on the left. However, on the whole, this would be pretty weak tea, right? Especially with all the other stuff that they had going on during their time.
War plan, we were all taught not to divulge anything that could violate operational security. So the question is, did you violate operational security? Did you release anything that could potentially hurt someone who's in operations right now? And the answer is yes. That's obvious. Everyone can see it. And the harder they...
Is the answer yes? I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've looked at it. I've read it. I mean, how are these operations conducted? Was it a guy that went over there if they're saying that they would be attacking the Americans that were already present there, or they would be attacking ships and stuff like that. Okay, but they're kind of doing that anyway. So I don't know.
They spin, the worse it is. And you can see that. That's why they're spinning so hard. This is damning. I think Hegseth has to step down or be fired because he can't command the respect of the people he leads.
That's absolutely ridiculous. It's what an absurd...
He holds himself to a different standard. And maybe most of all, our enemies are celebrating. Chaos, mayhem, dysfunction. This has become normal around the Pentagon, and that is very dangerous for our nation.
I think that nobody, and here's the thing: like, you kind of get into the bubble of knowing stuff, and you kind of don't realize that most people don't. Most people just don't know. This is a relatively like if you had like the bullet points, like the majority of the people, they're going to read the headline. Classified information leaked, whatever. And, they may think about it. I'm going to say probably 80% of the populace don't give a shit. They don't know. They don't care. So you're now narrowing yourself down to the people that even read the headlines, right? The majority of our populace at this point, we're on TikTok. They're on Instagram or whatever, or Facebook and stuff like that. They're not reading headlines. They're going to see someone on a Facebook post say talking shit about this stuff. And okay, they'll have a surface level understanding of it, but this is not a sexy news story at all. I mean, it's kind of it's a little bit sad that this is really all they have to. And they're gonna pound the shit out of it because this is all they have right now. So let's see what else they got on it.
National security.
Look, the administration all but baited Goldberg to release these today. Did they get what they wanted out of this?
Well, I think it's because these kinds of spins for MAGA have worked in the past, and for Donald Trump for that matter. There have been no repercussions when you actually see something said on videotape and they say it's not true, and nothing happens to them. And so I will say, from a PR point of view, not from a veteran point of view, they should have nipped this in the bud. I mean, this could have been a done story by yesterday had they just fessed up, been adults about it, said we made a mistake, it's not going to happen again, end of story. Instead, this deny, deflect, defame other people. That is not working. And this is going to be a story again for a third day
I
tomorrow.
gotta tell you, obviously these people do not watch Real Housewives because you don't go to the Real Housewives reunion and go to the other housewife when that person has receipts in writing, on text, which is what Jeffrey Goldberg had. I was hearing last night when Walls was calling him a loser and scum, and they have been calling him every name in the book. How do you do that with somebody who's got receipts in writing that he can then divulge and share with the rest of America? Just from a psychological aspect, it seems stupid. And I was thinking today, Tim, about our friend John McCain. You and I supported John McCain when he was running. And I remember him grilling Rumsfeld pretty hard on issues like that. Because it used to be that for Republicans, when it came to veterans, when it came to national security, when it came to soldiers, it was above partisanship. John McCain, chair of the Armed Services Committee, didn't care whether it was George W. Bush or whether it was Bill Clinton. He was going to question them exactly the same. And talking about questioning.
So, this clip's been going on now for a few minutes. I still don't know anything about what they're talking about, right? And this is what this is the point, right? This is the point of this type of media. This is the point of propaganda. The point of propaganda is, they talk about spin, they talk about all these things, but what are you doing? What are you guys doing, right? In the beginning of this segment, you should have put the receipts out for people to see, for people to read. You should have reviewed them, right? You should have said, this is the segment, this is what we're going to be talking about. Here's the most damning part of whatever. Maybe they're going to do that later on in the clip. I don't know. I try not to watch this much, but, they're saying a whole bunch of stuff without saying anything. And that's the point, right? The point is to put the chyron up there, to get the commentators and the people to shit talk it, and ultimately not say anything, right? You just say the headline that you want to be true.
Exactly the same. I'm so damn old. I remember when about a year ago right now, Lloyd Austin had to testify in front of a congressional committee because he did not divulge that he was having prostate surgery and would be in the hospital. And he got reamed pretty hard by that congressional committee. He admitted that he had not handled it correctly. And I think Pete Hegseth, at the very least, needs to have the cojones to show up in front of a congressional committee, and there needs to be a full investigation, like there was about Lloyd Austin's prostate.
John, I think there's one other important point here. We should stop and step back 1 second and applaud the men and women in the United States military who received these orders and executed this mission brilliantly and executed it to perfection. And so, again, kudos to the men and women in the military, and particularly those on this mission. We really owe them our respect. Beyond that, this is really simple. It's hard to deflect the obvious. And the obvious is they screwed up. And so just say it. Just say it. And to everybody's point, I think we all agree, when you make a mistake, own up to it. When it's this obvious, you can't deny.
You see, and here's the problem that I have, right? And if the media on the whole, well, I hate talking like this because it's not a media. It's an apparatus, right? It's a system that. So if the system that they're involved in, had some type of a counterbalance to it, right? If they didn't jump down the throat of the administration on things that are nothing, then when you're putting somebody in a position where they're always going to fight back, no matter what, right? Why? Because you never give them a break, you never give them a chance. If you're constantly beating somebody down and doing disruptive things to them, if the one time where they maybe deserve it a little bit, they're still going to fight back the same way that they did when they didn't deserve it. Right? It's a natural reaction. It's an impulse of, these are the people that are against me. These are the people that tried to imprison me. These are the people that said all these wrong things about me. Okay, I did something wrong this time, but it's the same level of outrage as when I didn't do anything wrong. So, whatever, just fight back. That's the reaction that they're getting. And this is the reason why they're getting that reaction, is that it's just the natural reaction to somebody that's constantly beat down, put down, and this is what you get.
I deflect, obfuscate. That doesn't work in this case. And so just come before the cameras and say the mission was great. Thank you to our warriors. Thank you for the people who delivered this result. But we had a communications problem, and we goofed it up, and we own it, and we're sorry, and we'll make sure it won't happen again.
If it's so simple for the governor, Sir Michael, why doesn't the administration see it as that?
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I'm a political strategist, and from my point of view, I'm looking at the special election we just had in Iowa. Republicans maintained control there. That was a bit of an upset. We had a race that just occurred, I think, days ago in Pennsylvania. We actually lost by around 480-something votes. Whatever the liberal zeitgeist may be as it pertains to this particular issue, I'm not certain that it's attached to the realities on the ground in terms of what the average everyday individual American is actually focused on. I would acknowledge the mistake occurred. I would move on. I'm not certain that this is going to be a news story beyond next week. And so from a political perspective, if I'm Democrats and you're trying to find something to sort of leech onto to frame an argument about why you think the administration is handling things in general incorrectly, I'm not certain that this
But
is that
Mr.
issue.
Michael, it's not the liberal zeitgeist just as you describe it, because I read today Republican senators, people like Lisa Murkowski. I have read people who...
Oh, she's so, oh my God. Can somebody just put her out to pasture, please? Like, she's done. Like, I mean, I cannot take her. It's just her voice, her faux. I mean, she's a Republican. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know if she denounced it by now or whatever, but you know, she's a personality. It's just like enough. I have to watch her on The View. I got to watch her here. It's just Jesus.
who support Donald Trump, like Portnoy, the guy from Barstool,
gonna talk about
like
that later,
Piers
yeah.
Morgan, come out and say this was stupid, this was reckless, this was classified, it shouldn't have been, and you all have
It wasn't classified.
to
Everyone
own up to
agrees
it.
with that.
Okay,
I
so
think
then
everyone-
don't-
I think
yeah,
everyone agrees
so
with
let's
that,
not talk about Iowa and liberals.
No, no,
This
but
is
no, no,
above
There has to be
partisan.
accountability.
it's
When we
it's
talk about
important because
accountability,
politics-
because that's the issue here, right? Men and women could have died. They were on combat missions when this information was flying around a signal app. I mean, they were wrong for even being on that unsecure.
Men and women did die in Afghanistan, right? I'm going to have to look this guy up now and see how outraged he was at the Biden administration for all the things that they did.
App. And having these kinds of this is not going away.
Yeah, no, well,
and
I
it
think
shouldn't
it's
go
gonna
away.
No, I think it's gonna go away in
If
a
we're
week.
serious about our
I'm
national
certain of that.
security,
No.
people need to be held accountable, just like they are in the military. Because if a 19-year-old private did this, they'd be in prison, they'd be court-martialed, they'd be facing UCMJ action. And this leadership crew cannot be immune from that same accountability.
Here's
Well, right. Well, you know.
Well, I mean, look, I'm a political strategist, and from my
there you have it. I totally agree with this guy. I believe it's a nothing burger. I mean, it's not a nothing burger. It's a mess up. You know, they screwed up. Listen, when you're going a million miles an hour, you're going to hit some bumps on the road. That goes without saying. You know, I think, where the media is being disingenuous is if they just own up to it, we'll let it slide. That's never going to happen. And everyone knows that. If they just own up to it, they'll let it slide. No, you won't. You won't let it slide. What would end up happening is if they said, yeah, we screwed up, then they're going to go, see, we got to impeach. We got to do this. We got to do X, Y, Z. We know how the game is played. We've already been there. At the end of the day, you guys have put everyone in a position on the right where they could just say, screw you. We're not apologizing. We don't care if we made a mistake. We're never going to admit to it. That's just the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Because even if I don't make a mistake, you're going to come at me. And if I do make a mistake, you're going to come at me. So I may as well just level out the playing field and say, you know what? Screw you. I'm not wrong. Good luck. Do what you got to do. Because you're going to do it anyway. You're going to do it anyway. And as long as I stick to my guns and be like, no, I didn't screw up. It's going to make it much harder for you, to come out and say, you see, they did wrong because it was never said. And that's why we're in the position we are. It's not because these guys, don't want to. They can't. They literally cannot say, that's why Trump will never apologize. Why should he? Why should he? If he doesn't do anything wrong, he gets the blame. If he does something wrong, he gets the blame. So screw it. Just ride the wave. I think it's a nothing burger story. I think it's a little bit, there's too much minutia. There's too much greediness to this story to really last for a very long time because it doesn't, the headline, Trump appointees leaked classified information. All right, that's a cool headline, for people that read the news, but on the whole, for social media and stuff like that, doesn't play well. It's not a very sexy story. It's definitely going to die very soon. They're going to try their hardest, and you'll see. They'll be talking about this for months down the line. Forever, they'll be talking about this. This will be the blip, that they'll hammer someone whenever this is a discussion going on months from now. Oh, do you remember when they leaked the class? Whatever. And to even try to equate this to Hillary's emails is amazing. That's amazing. They were using devices. They were using an application that they're allowed to use. It's put on their devices. To equate that to somebody storing information off-site in a system that has no government ties to it for the purpose of eluding FOIA requests and things of that nature, and then destroying it all. I mean, guys, let's be serious. Like, that is a totally different world. So I just find that wild that they would even dare to equate the two, but they do, and they will. Guys, thanks a lot for coming out. Give me a like, give me a share, give me a subscribe. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you again real soon.